Heartway family, I want to thank you for joining us for another week of Heartway at Home. We're so excited you're here. Hey, in case you didn't know, our vision statement here is helping people discover themselves in God and transform the world through love. We believe love is the answer and love is everything here. So if that resonates with you, I want to encourage you to share this message with your family and friends. Heartway is a community where we are so diverse and we welcome people from all different stages of life because we believe nobody should be outcasted or nobody should be left out. This is a place of no judgment and a place of just pure love. So if you want to be a part of our community, make sure you keep watching every week and make sure to share this with all of your family and friends. We thank you so much for that. Before we continue on with service, I want us to all take a moment and share in a moment of gratitude, because I believe that when we can share a moment of gratitude together, we can express our love so much greater. We can be present to this very moment. So right there where you are, write something down that you're grateful for in the chat, on your phone, on a notepad, whatever that is for you. Let's take that moment together. Before we continue on with service, I just want to take a quick moment and thank you all for your generosity. From the bottom of our hearts, we cannot do anything that we do without your generous hearts. So here at Heartway, we have two ways to give. You can text your dollar amount to 84321, or you can give at heartwaychurch.com. Again, thank you so much. We love you all so much, and we hope you enjoy service.
We're here to worship you, Father. Sing with us. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. 'Cause you are see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop. Show us your peace, Lord. Peace, be still. Say the word and I will send my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still. You are here, so it is will. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, be still. Say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still. You are here, so it is well. Even
Happy Sunday, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you all today to lead you into the centering prayer. Today, I really want us to focus in on the breath. I know we talk about this every Sunday, but what does it truly mean? I want you to connect to your breath so that you can use it as a tool, not only when you're meditating, but when you're living life. And that way you can truly feel peace at all times. So let's get started. I want you to find a comfortable seated position, bringing the palms either facing up or down, whatever is comfortable for you. When you're ready, slightly tuck the chin. You allow the eyes to close. And I want you to really ground yourself. Have a nice tall spine. And together, let's take a deep inhale. Slowly, let's fill up the belly, allowing the breath to rise up. As the shoulders go back, take a moment, and then slowly exhale. Again, let's take a deep inhale. You watch the breath as it rises up. The shoulders begin to go back, chest opens up. Hold the breath. And then slowly exhale, release. Take a moment here to bring your attention to the breath. Let's remove outside distractions by acknowledging that we are not our thoughts, that we are not the constant emotions that are coming up. Let's just bring our focus to the breath. Bring your focus to this very moment. We release what's happened in the past, not wondering what's happening in the future. We just bring our attention to this very moment. Let's take another deep inhale. As you slowly fill up the belly, I want you to try to watch your breath. So really inhale in, shoulders back, allow the chest to open, and then slowly exhale. Bring your focus back to the breath. Bring your attention here. And together, let's choose now to surrender. We let go of anything that does not serve us. And I want you to think of anything that may be weighing heavy on your heart. Small or big, whatever it may be, bring it to your attention now. And now let's use the breath. I want you to inhale in, fill up the breath, continue to think of whatever is weighing on your heart. As the breath rises, I want you to hold the breath, have this image, feel all of the emotions. And now, as you exhale vocally, I want you to let it go. Allow the shoulders to come down, unclench the jaw. Just let go. Again, slowly fill up the belly. Begin to imagine whatever that is weighing heavy on your heart. You allow the chest to open up as the shoulders go back. Hold the breath. And when you're ready to let go, exhale. Again, just slowly take a deep inhale. Feel the peace entering your body. Now seal the lips. Exhale through the nose. Let's let go of that does not serve us. Let's release any fears that we may have, any doubts, and let's surrender deeper to God. When you feel like you've let go and truly given all to God, let's surrender a little bit more. Truly releasing, letting go of the ego, letting go of the minds and the thoughts. Let's now tune in, tapping into our faith, our strength in knowing God. Find peace in this. Find peace in knowing that you are in control of yourself, in the way that you feel in certain times, even when things are happening, even when life feels out of control. The one thing that you are always in control of is your breath, this beautiful gift that God has given you. So use the breath to your advantage. Connect back to yourself. Connect back to this gift that God has given you. Know that as you inhale, we're creating that space. We're opening up our hearts. We're saying to God, we are here receiving you. And as we exhale, we're letting it go. We're letting Him have control. We're putting it all in His hands. This is where you find peace. This is where you can live in peace. I know a lot of us are searching for peace, for harmony within ourselves, harmony between the mind and the heart. But if you bring your attention to the breath, to this one beautiful gift that God has given you, you can let go and you can bring yourself back to this state of being, your true state of being, your peace. Know that this is always attainable to you at any time. But we have to let go of the belief that we are not enough or that we have to do more to get to this state. You are worthy and deserving of this peace because you are a child of God. You were born with this blessing. So let's use the blessing. Let's bring our awareness back to the breath. Take another deep inhale. See if you can really follow it up, imagining or hearing the breath. You allow those shoulders to go back as we open up our hearts. Seal the lips, and then exhale through the nose. Take a moment to connect back to yourself, to enjoy this peace, this lightness that you're feeling, this connection to God. Enjoy the stillness. Enjoy the knowing that you can be in this state at any time. My friends, take another deep inhale, but this time slowly, as if you were breathing through a straw. Slowly fill up the belly. You allow the breath to rise up. Let's hold the breath. Whatever you're holding on to, my friends, when you're ready, exhale. Let it go. Put it in the hands of God. Trust in Him by trusting in yourself. That with God, we can get through anything. Let's bring our left hand to our heart. And I want you to bring your right hand to your stomach. You feel your heart beating. This means you're alive, full of purpose, always available to tap in to anything that you wish to have. Now let's fill up the belly. I want you to really feel the belly expanding. So breathe in, make a big belly. Allow the breath to rise up. Those shoulders go back. Let's have a nice smile. And when you're ready, exhale. Release the hands down. Take a moment here to acknowledge how much love God has for you, how much love you have within yourself, and how much love you can give to one another. When you find this peace, this beautiful stillness, you can live life through God with purpose for the highest good, sharing your truth, your love. Take another deep inhale, this time bringing the awareness back within. Maybe you wiggle the fingers and toes. And now when you're ready, exhale. And then gently blink open the eyes. My friends, may peace and grace always be with you. So much love. Amen.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us this morning. We're so grateful that you're tuning in. You know, our intention behind Heartway at Home is to be able to provide some soul food that can nourish you in this moment of time that we're experiencing when there's so much anxiety, so much confusion, so much uncertainty. And so we're so grateful that you continue to join us, that you're sharing this with your friends, and that you're giving us all of the positive feedback that you have been over the last several months. Today, we're going to have a really fun conversation. I want to talk to you about an ancient spiritual practice called watchfulness. Watchfulness was developed in some of the earliest monastic communities of the Christian East. And watchfulness simply means awareness. To be watchful is to be self-observant. It's about becoming mindful of what's happening in your inner world. So for the monastics, this spiritual practice was actually considered to be the science of sciences and the art of arts. Because the greatest endeavor that any human could pursue in their mind was the mastery of thought. In fact, there was one teacher who said, "A true monk is one who has achieved watchfulness, and he who is truly watchful is a monk in his heart." And the reason why I want to share with you about this spiritual practice is because I don't think there has been anything else as transformative and as impactful in my own spiritual journey than the implementation of this practice. So the question for us today is, how do we practice watchfulness in our lives? Well, my favorite description of watchfulness is this: watchfulness is observing everything in you and around you as if it were happening to someone else. I want to say that one more time. Watchfulness is observing everything in you and around you as if it was happening to someone else. Almost as if you were taking a third-person perspective towards your life. Many of you know I'm a theology nerd. I'm a philosophy nerd. I'm always reading those things, and I've given my life to studying theology and philosophy. But over the last several years, I've really made my home in the writings of the mystics and the monastics of our Christian tradition, because for them, the emphasis wasn't just on gaining knowledge and information. Instead, the emphasis was on experiencing union with God. And what all of the mystics have said, what all of the monastics have taught us over and over and over again, is that the greatest hindrance to experiencing union with God, the greatest hindrance to really experiencing the peace of God in our soul, isn't anything external. It's internal. It's our thoughts. It's our mental chatter. See, most of us as human beings completely identify ourselves with our stream of thinking. We think that we are the voice in our head. We equate ourselves with our own inner chatter. We identify with the content of our mind. And so from the time we are very young, we already start to create an identity, a perception of ourselves. a persona that is based on the mental narratives that we have created and picked up from others along the journey of life. This is actually what psychologists today refer to as the ego. In biblical terms, this can be spoken of as the sinful nature or the old man. This is the false sense of self that we have developed as a result of our conditioning and our programming. See, most people aren't aware that they have been conditioned to be the way that they are. This is really important. What I mean by that is all of us as human beings have been wired to be exactly the way that we are as a result of our family of origins, our upbringing, our society, our culture, the media, everything and everyone that has influenced us along the way. And this conditioning, this programming within you is the filter through which you look and see and understand all of reality. So the more aware you become, the more you start recognizing how limited these thought patterns and belief systems are and just how much they are keeping you from truly seeing reality for what it is. The more you become self-observant, the more you start understanding the way that your mind works. And over time, you begin to disidentify yourself with the content of your mind. So this is what Jesus referred to as losing the self or dying to self. It's about transcending our own personhood and personality. It's detaching yourself from the stream of compulsive thinking. This is about coming to the recognition that you are not your thoughts, and that all of the thought patterns you have been shaped from your environment and your surroundings. So the moment you're able to detach from this mental chatter is when your journey of transformation actually begins, because you start recognizing who you really are. For the monastics, this inner transformation is what Jesus was talking about when he would say things like, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Or he would say, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The word repentance means a change of mind. My translation is a shift in perception. So essentially what Jesus was teaching was, hey, wake up, open up your eyes, and see life for what it really is. Another statement that Jesus made was, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. To be pure in heart is to declutter your inner world, to empty yourself of thought so that you can see God who is beyond all thought. So spirituality is essentially about observing the movements of the mind and releasing anything that is obstructing our view of God. It's about becoming aware of your thought patterns and your emotional reactions. Why is this so important? Because to be aware is to be free. True freedom is when you can be aware of what's happening within you without identifying yourself with it. That way, you can use your mind instead of being used by your mind. See, as long as you are being used by your mind, everything you think and say and do is being determined by your prior conditioning, which means you are reactive as a human being. Self-observation allows us, again, to disidentify with our mental chatter so that we're not always automatically reacting to all of our thoughts and emotions as they come. Now, self-observation is not the same as self-absorption. Self-absorption is about being preoccupied with yourself. So this is about being really concerned and worried about yourself, or maybe being overly critical of yourself. Self-observation, again, is about watching everything in you and around you as if it were happening to someone else, which simply means you're not personalizing what is happening to you anymore. It means you look at things as if you have no connection with them whatsoever. That way, you're not judging yourself anymore, and you can stop experiencing these guilt trips and experiences of shame that come as a result of always being so hard on yourself. See, the reason why we suffer mentally is because we identify with our mental activity. For example, we'll say things like, I am depressed. Well, that is you identifying with your mental activity. It's one thing to say, I'm experiencing depression, but it's a whole nother thing to identify yourself with your depression. You are not your depression. When we identify with our emotions, our sense of self fluctuates just as much as our emotions do. So many of us define ourselves in terms of our feelings. So we think that we are our anxiety. We believe that we are our happiness. We believe that we are our anger. But the reality is we're not. Those emotions may be in you right now, but that's not who you are. How do I know that? Because if you were to just wait for a little bit, you will notice that those emotions, those thoughts, those feelings, they'll change. Because feelings and thoughts don't last. They never last. They always keep changing. They come and they go. So look at your thoughts and your emotions like clouds in the sky. Clouds come and go. Some are gray, some are white. Some are big, some are small. Well, you are not the clouds. You are the sky in which the clouds come and go. In other words, you are the non-attached observer. You are the watcher. You are the awareness behind all thought and emotion. The more you practice awareness and self-observation, the more you come to discover who you really are. And in the process, you come to discover who you're really not. It was the great philosopher Socrates who actually said, the unaware life is not worth living. What a big statement. Most people don't live aware lives. They live mechanical lives with mechanical thoughts and mechanical emotions and mechanical actions and mechanical reactions. And in fact, we can become so mechanical that there are people who know us so well that they can predict beforehand how we're going to react to certain statements or situations or actions. Which is why, of course, people who are bullies like to press other people's buttons because they know that that's going to evoke a reaction out of you. Because the truth is, when we're unaware, we're like puppets. The unaware life is the mechanical life. It's being a slave to your programming and your conditioning. What you are aware of is what you are in control of. What you are not aware of is in control of you. You are always a slave to that which you are not aware of. When you're aware of it, you become free of it. The emotion may be there, but now you're not affected by it anymore. And that's the major difference. See, awareness gives you the freedom to detach from all of the mental narratives that keep replaying in your head. Mental narratives of guilt and judgment and criticism and negativity and fear. So that instead, with this newfound awareness, you can choose love. You can choose humility. You can choose patience. You can choose God. So the truth of the matter is, change does not come by effort. True change does not come by willpower. True change does not come by building new habits. All of those things will change your behavior, but they won't change you. The only way you undergo a deep identity shift is through awareness, self-observation, and understanding yourself more. One of the mystics by the name of Saint Teresa of Avila, she actually mentions in one of her writings that the greatest gift God ever gave to her was the gift of being able to disidentify herself with herself. Think about that for a moment. A couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned how in Romans chapter 7, the Apostle Paul uses very similar language when he says, if I do those things that I don't want to do, then it's no longer I who do it, but sin living in me. Notice the disassociation, the disidentification. When you're able to disassociate from your thoughts and your emotions and your mental activity in this way, now you stop taking things so personally and you're truly free. You can own up to your mistakes and your failures and your weaknesses, and you can do so with confidence and you can do so with humility because you know that none of those things define who you are, and because you know who you truly are beyond all of that. Something else that has happened, at least to me personally, as I've disassociated with my mental activity, I've started developing such a humor towards myself. I make myself laugh all the time. My wife probably thinks I'm a crazy person around the house because there'll be times where I'm just on my own and I'll just start laughing because a thought will come into my head and I realize just how insane that thought really is. One small little example. The other day I was at the house. Emily left to do something, and I heated up my food, brought it to my couch. I was getting comfortable, put on my Netflix. Next thing you know, the meal falls all over me, falls all over the couch. First thing I do when that happens was I just started laughing, because what I started noticing was all of those thoughts, that programming, that little puppet in me that just wants to get critical and angry and mad and frustrated and make a big deal about the fact that the lunch I made is now all over my lap and the sofa. I just started laughing because you notice these patterns in yourself and you recognize that they are not you. Not too long ago, Emily and I were having a little conflict, and I'm telling you that this thought came to my mind. It was a dagger. I mean, this was a low blow. And I recognized that almost immediately when the thought began to form in my mind. And the first thing that I said to myself out loud when I noticed was, don't take the bait. Danny, don't take the bait. See, your thoughts are like bait. The moment you take a bite, you're latched on. And after that thought will come another thought and another thought. And now you are justifying your anger, your frustration with another person with this wonderful narrative and story that you have created in your head. And all of it is an illusion. You can be free, but freedom comes when you recognize that you are not your thoughts and you are not your emotions. So don't take yourself too seriously. Learn how to laugh at yourself. I love to laugh at all of the ways that the ego very wisely tries to create a problem where there is no problem. I just laugh at it because I know what it is and I see it for what it is. So as we wrap up today, I just want to take a few moments to share with you a couple of steps that can help you get started on this journey of self-observation, awareness, watchfulness. Now, don't try and make a technique out of all of this, okay? It'll be enough if you just observe yourself and watch what's happening in you and around you as if it were happening to someone else. You can teach yourself how to do this. I just want to give you a couple of steps that'll be helpful based off of what I've noticed in my own self-examination as a human. So the first step of self-observation is about noticing your thoughts and your feelings. Notice your thoughts and your feelings. First thing that's needed is to get in touch with your emotions and with what is happening inside of you. There are so many of us who are driven by negative feelings and we aren't aware of it at all because we've been suppressing those feelings for so long. And the reason why we suppress those feelings is because we're afraid of feeling those feelings. So the first step is just to notice. Be present to yourself. Next time you find yourself being triggered, next time you notice that somebody is causing a negative feeling to arise within you, try and bring a spaciousness to that experience so that you can simply be present to what is happening within you. Then, once you notice the trigger, take responsibility for it. Take responsibility for it. Always remember that all of those negative thoughts and feelings are in you, not in reality. See, there is objective reality, and then there are our subjective reactions. And there's a big difference between those two. So think of somebody right now that you're living with or that you work with or that you know who causes negative feelings to rise up within you. Somebody who every time you're around them, you just get triggered for some reason. First thing I want you to notice is that these negative feelings exist in you, not in the other person. You're responsible for that negative feeling, not the other person. How do I know this? Because somebody else can be in the presence of that same person and they can be totally calm and completely unaffected by them. So you first have to take responsibility for what's happening on the inside of you. So many of us spend so much time and energy trying to change our circumstances. We want to change our spouse. We want to change our friends. We want to change our boss. We want to change our enemies. We want to change everybody else. Here's the good news. You don't have to change anything to be at peace. You don't have to change anything at all to be at peace. Awareness is your peace. No person on earth has the power to take away your peace. No event, no circumstance, no person, no situation has the power to disturb you or hurt you. That is your job. Most people don't believe this. They believe the opposite, which is why they suffer. Watchfulness is about going within. See, trying to change reality is like hitting your knee against the table and getting mad at the table. The table is just being the table. The pain is in your knee, not the table. The table is just doing what the table does. There's this wonderful story in the Eastern Orthodox tradition about a monk who was just very frustrated in the monastery that he was living in. I mean, he just had a really hard time controlling his temper. He just got really angry a lot. And so finally one day he got fed up and he said, you know what, I'm leaving this monastery. I'm going to go and live out on my own, secluded from everybody else so that I can have peace. And so he goes and he lives on his own. And one day he decides to fill up a jug of water. And then he puts the jug of water on the ground and it tips over. And he gets furious. He gets the water jug again. He fills it up. He puts it down on the ground. It tips over. He gets even angrier. So he does it again. He takes the jug, he fills it up with water, he puts it on the ground, and it tips over again. He gets so mad that he takes the jug and he throws it against the wall, and he is just so angry and frustrated. And finally, he comes to his senses, and he realizes, oh my goodness, my real problem isn't on the outside. It's on the inside. And so then he just returned to his monastery and went back to where he came from. The problem is not outside of you. It's always within. Notice. Just notice. That's the first step. Step 2 is to accept your thoughts and your feelings. First, we notice what's happening inside of us. Then we learn how to accept and embrace all of it. One of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that being spiritual means you're always going to feel great all of the time and you're never going to have any negative thoughts at all. Baloney, not true. Spirituality is not about being in a positive state all of the time. True spirituality is about accepting whatever state you may find yourself in right now, whether it's positive or negative. It means being fully conscious and present to your inner world without any judgment. It's becoming more and more intimate with your own inner landscape and meeting yourself with love and with understanding. So many of you are just so hard on yourself. I know this because I have been the very same way. We beat ourselves up. Not only do we experience the feelings, but then we beat ourselves up for having those feelings. Not only do we experience the thoughts, but then we judge ourselves for even having those thoughts in the first place. And so maybe we try and ignore how we feel, or we try and fight and resist those thoughts and those feelings. All that ever does is just exasperate the problem. Because whatever you resist, you give energy to. Whatever you resist, you give energy to. And by the way, this is a universal life principle. This doesn't just relate to the way you relate to your own thoughts and your emotions. This also is about how you relate to other people. Whatever you oppose is what you give fuel to. So if you will just stop feeding the negative thoughts and emotions, notice them, allow them to be there. If you would stop feeding them, eventually what you'll come to see is that they will starve to death. So instead of responding to yourself with judgment, try a different approach. Respond to yourself with gentleness. Just watch and observe what's happening inside of your mind without the need of having to fix it or change it or judge it or interfere in any way. That is going to do miracles in your life. Just get curious. Allow yourself to be without adding any extra commentary, without that self-critical voice that you layer on top of everything that you do and think and feel. A great example of this is scientists. Whenever a scientist studies something, their aim is just to observe that which they are studying and to learn as much as they can about it. There's no other goal, no other agenda than that. The day you can learn how to approach yourself in that same way, the day you learn how to attain that posture towards yourself is the day that you will begin to experience change and transformation effortlessly. It'll be a gift of grace that's given to you. The very renowned psychologist by the name of Carl Rogers has this wonderful quote. He says, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." Here's number 3. Disidentify from your thoughts and your feelings. So notice, accept, and number 3, disidentify from your thoughts and your feelings. So this is essentially about stepping outside of yourself. I was watching a documentary on Netflix about psychedelics. It's pretty interesting. But there's this guy who said, when in doubt, zoom out. When in doubt, zoom out. I love that. Anytime that you're stuck in a loop of thought, shift your attention from your thinking to your awareness and just observe yourself with love. When you do that, what begins to happen is you'll start to experience all of those emotions, but you're no longer going to be as troubled by them anymore. Because now you're anchored. Now you have found your center. See, you don't have to do anything to make those thoughts and those feelings that are causing you suffering to go away. You don't have to do anything to make them go away. If you just allow yourself to experience all of it completely and totally and fully, eventually those thoughts and those feelings go away on their own. Awareness is what teaches you how to get comfortable with uncomfortability, which is really the only comfort we ever find. What most people don't realize, and it's taken me a while too to step into this in my life. What most people don't realize is that you can experience anxiety and still have peace in the anxiety. You can experience grief and still have peace in the grief. I used to get frustrated whenever other people would disturb my peace. Anytime that there was conflict, I would get mad because I'm trying to be at peace and this person is just not helping me do that. They're making it worse, if anything. And then I realized, no, Danny, that's not what it is. It's not about having no conflict. It's not about having no disturbance. It's about having peace in the conflict. It's about having peace in the midst of the disturbance. One of my favorite teachers by the name of Anthony DeMello, he said, before enlightenment, I used to experience depression. After enlightenment, I still experience depression. Big difference is, I no longer identify myself with it. And oh, what a difference that is. It's transformational. You'll just have to experience that for yourself. So notice your thoughts and your feelings, accept your thoughts and your feelings, disidentify from your thoughts and your feelings, and then last but not least, release your thoughts and your feelings. Release your thoughts and your feelings. I was talking to one of my best friends. Every morning, he meditates outside by the lake near his home. And he had shared with me something that came to him, an insight when he was meditating one day. He said, Danny, if you were to observe a lake or any body of water, really, you'll notice that the water is always moving. There are always like waves and ripples on the water because that's what water does, right? In the same way, your mind is going to think. That's what the mind does. It does no good for you to get frustrated with your own self because your mind is very active. That is what the mind does. Thoughts are waves in the mind. So what we are invited to do through this approach of watchfulness is simply not to attach to the mental chatter and the mental activity. Instead, to allow it just to be, to accept it, to observe it. And what happens when you do that is eventually the water becomes still on its own. Something that I've come to recognize is that every negative thought and emotion passes with patience. Every negative thought and emotion passes with patience. Be patient with yourself. And by the way, this isn't just how it works with the negative thoughts and emotions. Positive thoughts and emotions are the same too. Positive thoughts and emotions come and go. So don't cling to those either, because if you cling and attach to the positive thoughts and the positive emotions, guess what? You're going to think there's something wrong when those positive thoughts and emotions aren't there. That's why more important than having a positive mind is having a quiet mind. It's better not to cling to anything in the mind at all. When you stop clinging to the mind, you can begin to see with the heart. And that is what changes everything. So if you're looking for freedom, if you're looking for liberation, you don't need more information in your head. You don't need more knowledge. You don't have to add anything to your life. What's needed is subtraction. What's needed is releasing, letting go of everything that you are not, so that you can become who you really and truly are. God, thank you so much for your goodness and your grace and your love towards us. Because you have loved us first, we can now love ourselves. Because you accept us, we can now accept ourselves. May we be gentle with ourselves. May we let go of this need we have to constantly judge and criticize ourselves for the thoughts and feelings that we have. Teach us, God, by your Spirit to be watchful, to be self-observant, so that we can notice what's happening in our inner world, accept everything that's happening in our inner world, and release it all to you. The more we surrender, the more we let go, the more your presence can fill our hearts and our minds. We pray all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for joining us for another week of Heartway at Home. We love you all so much. Know that you are not alone during this time. Share this with all of your family and friends, and we will see you next week for another week of Heartway at Home.